Hello and welcome back to another video. As some of you might already know, about 6 months ago I purchased a DJI Action 4, and the reason for that is I was doing a lot of photography kind of adventure vlogs, and I was bringing around a Sony ZV-E1, which is basically a full-size camera. It's a full-frame camera, it's amazing quality, don't get me wrong, but it's quite heavy, and carrying that around, and I just missed shots and it just wasn't enjoyable. So I wanted to film on something a little bit different because I'd still have my photography gear. So yeah, I just wanted to minimize what I was carrying with me, so I figured I'd buy DJI Action 4, and I've been very happy with it. The quality for the size of this camera is absolutely amazing. But about a week after that, of course, the DJI Action 5 Pro came out, and I was a bit torn whether I should buy it or not, so I watched a whole bunch of different reviews. Now there really is two sides to this. There's a lot of people who hate the Action 5 and a lot of people who love it. Now I ended up buying it anyway just recently, about a week or so ago, and for the past week or so I've just been filming things like this, so split screening and just seeing what I prefer the footage of. Now that's what this video is going to be about, my own little comparisons. There's a little wind test, there was a big gust just then. Yeah, that's what this is going to be, just a little split screen comparison of these two cameras side by side. And yeah, I mean, there's already 1,000 of these videos on the internet already, but I thought I'd do my own. This was mainly for my own kind of research to decide what camera I preferred, and the verdict for me is I do prefer the 5. Now, it is better in every single way. The mic quality, I don't know if they've changed the mics or whatever they're doing with the software, it is a little bit better. It seems to be a bit quieter than the Action 4, but it's got a nicer sound. So you can boost the volume, that's no problem at all. I love the screens on the Action 5, they're bigger, they're brighter, I believe they're OLED, so the black's a true black, and they're just a lot nicer to look at. The buttons are a bit stiffer on the Action 5, I don't know if that's something they've done to help with waterproofing or something like that, but they're sometimes hard to press. It's a little bit weird. They might loosen up over time, but I don't remember my Action 4 buttons ever being that kind of hard to press. But anyway, nonetheless, that's not a big deal. It's something you kind of, once you know, you just kind of deal with. But yeah, the 5 is better in every way in my opinion. I love the fact that when you are shooting, by the way, I will put my settings up on the screen right now so you can see those. I've tried to do the same settings on both cameras, and from memory I've got the sharpness or the texture they call it on the Action 5 and the noise reduction both set to -2. I prefer to add that in post if I am going to add that. The camera sometimes adds too much and makes it look a bit weird, but anyway, yeah, so I much prefer that. Both the cameras are set up pretty much the same, but another thing I love about the Action 5 is you can preview what the LUT looks like on your screen. So even though I am shooting in D-Log-M, on the Action 4 that I'm looking at now, it's kind of like that washed out hazy image that you get from log footage, but on the Action 5 I'm seeing what it should look like when I apply the LUT. Now the footage you're seeing will have the official DJI LUT applied, so there's a LUT for the Action 4 and a LUT for the Action 5. I think they're identical because when I've put the Action 5 LUT on the 4 footage and vice versa, it does look the same, so I think the LUT itself is the same. Yeah, so I think the Action 5 is superior in every way, to be totally honest. The only thing that I don't like about the Action 5, which is probably, it can be a big thing I guess, it just depends, is that it tries really hard to expose your face and things like that correctly, which as you can see from the footage here, I'm a lot better exposed on the Action 5 Pro, but the background might be a little bit, I wouldn't say overexposed, but it's a little bit HDR-y sometimes. It depends on the situation, not always. Sometimes it's just trying a little too hard with the HDR and things start to look a little bit fake, a little bit cartoony. My little 5-minute screen, there we go. The little 5-minute, the screen shuts down. You can screen timeout, you can set that. I've got it set to 5 minutes, but yeah, it can look a little bit HDR-y. I'm going to put some clips while I'm talking as well of just things I've filmed throughout the week, little comparisons. You can see here, I think right now that I'm better exposed on the Action 5 footage, but the sky and everything else looks amazing on the Action 4 footage, but I'm a little bit darker because it's not exposing my face properly. So I think what they've done is just boost the exposure on faces and things like that, and try to kind of save the background. And yeah, it can look a bit fake, a little bit weird. There was a time I was out here the other day and I was filming myself somewhere near these trees here, which I'll put the footage up if I still have it. And this is the first time I've seen this with this camera, but it was a bit weird. The leaves, just where the sun was hitting, the highlights just look really weird, like this weird kind of overly saturated, overly bright. I don't know what was going on. It was like it was trying to save the highlights, but it just couldn't do it, and it just looked really weird. It's like when you push the sliders too far in Lightroom or Premiere when you're color grading or something like that. Whereas the Action 4 had none of that, but obviously I was a bit darker in the scene, so to be totally honest, I think for most people that watch, there's a lot of people who pixel peep these kind of cameras, and I don't think it's deserved. They're action cameras at the end of the day, and they do an amazing job for an action camera. Right now I'm standing under my kind of eaves of my garage, so you can see I'm pretty dark, but the sky is very bright. I'm definitely better exposed on the Action 5, but the sky again does look better on the Action 4. Even if I lift my kind of shadows up in post on the Action 4, I still think the 5 does look better. But yeah, it can do some weird things with exposure in the background and things, like it's trying too hard with the high dynamic range. I wish there was an option to like maybe have that low, medium or high dynamic range optimizer or something like that. Some of my other cameras have similar things where you could dial that down a little bit, but that really is the only problem that I've seen with the Action 5. And yeah, pixel peeping an action camera is a little bit strange because it's not really what they're designed for. They're not cinema cameras, and I think for most people who like, I watch a lot of YouTubers who shoot with the Action 5, and I love their videos. And I'm not really ever seeing anything where I'm like, oh my god, what the hell was with those highlights in the background there? Like, I'm not looking for that. I'm just watching the content and enjoying it. I'm not pixel peeping some random YouTuber's video. So that's kind of what I'm getting at with this. It's much better in low light as well. Super night mode is amazing, although yes, it seems to just boost the ISO through the roof and then put a ton of noise reduction on, so some of the footage does look a bit soft and waxy, but that's to be expected. It's better, at least you can get the shot rather than it being, you know, extremely grainy or just not being able to see anything at all. So they've done a really good job with that. Sorry. I'm a fan of the super night mode. As I said, it's better that I'd be more happy that I got the shot rather than say it's too dark to film or something like that. So I'm going to walk into here. Again, these are both on D-Log M. This isn't in super night mode. I'm just going to walk into my garage where it's obviously very shady. There's not much light in here. I've got a light above me, but it's not the best. So this is kind of like a low light situation. Just like that. My garage is a mess, apologies. One thing I do find about the Action 5 is this very warm color tone. Like, I probably look a lot more red. I'm not editing any of the colors. I'm just putting the lights on. I'm not editing any of the colors or anything like that. So if I was to fix that, all I would do is just take some of the reds out of, you know, the midtones or the highlights and things like that. But yeah, for the most part, the Action 5, I think, like I said, it's better in every single way. If you're deciding which one to buy, honestly, in Australia here, the Action 5s are only about $100 and something more than the Action 4. So if you have the money, get the Action 5. I still think it's a better camera. Like, looking at this side by side now, the sky does look way better in the Action 4, but at least I'm exposed correctly. No one's going to really care about the sky if I'm filming content like this, really, at the end of the day, unless you're looking for it. That's my opinion anyway. But yeah, if you want to save a bit of money, go with the Action 4. Better yet, if you have time on your hands, maybe wait for the Action 6, because I dare say that is probably coming pretty soon. There's been some rumors of it coming, so I reckon that the Action 6 will be coming quite soon, and hopefully they do a few more changes than they did with the 4 to the 5. It's almost like they should have called this the Action 4 Pro, because there's not a whole lot that really changed. It seems to be a lot of software stuff, but the main thing for me that I absolutely love is the screens. They do look 1,000 times better. Not 1,000 times. They do look a lot better than they do on the 4. They're just a lot brighter. It's also a lot easier to see things, and they're bigger as well. Or at least the rear screen's bigger. I'm not sure about the front screen. They look pretty similar from what I'm looking at here. So now what I'm going to do is just chuck some footage up that I've taken throughout the week, where I'm just maybe testing things, night mode and stuff like that. Again, it'll just be a side by side. And in case you didn't notice, the whole way through this video, I've been switching the audio from one camera to the other, and you can tell there'll be a little speaker icon that's moving from one camera to the other, so you know which one the sound is coming from. So I think that's about it. I'll put this footage towards the end, and I hope you enjoy. Seems to suffer with a lot less distortion, not distortion, like lens flare. As you can see up here on the DJI Action 4, there is some a much larger lens flare coming off the light compared to the Action 5. There's hardly any except for this little bit here. So yeah, pretty happy with that. Let's look at some more tests. So this is what I'll call, it's not really low light, but somewhat low light situation. I'm just in my office. It's kind of dim in here when the blind's down. So yeah, this is it. What does it look like? It's not in super night mode or anything like that. It's just in the normal mode, which I'll share all my settings. This is some footage in the car so you can hear the audio. Obviously the engine noise, the windows down, and you can see the dynamic range, what it's doing. It's exposing my face correctly on the Action 5. And the outside looks okay as well, but the Action 4 is kind of dark, underexposed inside the car. Yeah, definitely more natural on the Action 4. The Action 5, very oversaturated in the highlights. That HDR look's just gone a little too crazy. Man, I wish there was a way to dial that down, because it really is one of the only flaws with the Action 5. Super night mode. Alright, so this is just a pretty badly lit area, kind of outside my house. There's some house lights on, but they're not very bright. It's pretty much nighttime. Another light's just turned on. I'll step out to here. I'd consider this pretty low light. These are just on D-Log M, so no super night mode or anything like that on the Action 5. But in the next clip, I'll do a comparison where it's D-Log M on the Action 4 with super night mode on the Action 5. Alright, so this is again D-Log M on the Action 4 and super night mode on the Action 5 Pro. So, what do you think? Alright, so once again, hope you enjoyed that footage, and yeah, as I said, the Action 5 for me is the one I would pick, even though yes, like I said, it has done some weird things sometimes with HDR stuff. I think it's better in every other way, and hopefully with some firmware updates, it'll get even better than that anyway, and maybe we'll see a Action 6 on the horizon very, very soon. But other than that, I hope you enjoy this one. Hope it helped you to make some kind of decision. Probably not, it's probably made it even harder, but if you have any questions about the cameras, my settings, anything like that, just let me know in the comments below. And yeah, that's about it. Hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks again.